Online portfolios. Where's my navigation bar? Here we go. So I've just put a thing about, I do realise that lots of different courses will require some kind of portfolio building activity, which might either be just to share with the teacher, you know, or it might be to work collaboratively with other students, or more probably to try and share with examiners, external QA, things like that. There is also the element, I know that nobody here is working kind of in the creative sector, I don't think, but there is the element of building a portfolio that you can then use to move on to the next stage of education or to try and get a job with, I guess. And that's one of the things. So the things to consider are, is the tool that you want, that you're going to use for your portfolio building, does it need collaborative working? Does it need to be reviewed intermittently by, you know, the tutor, or even, you know, collaboratively with other students? Is there going to be elements of working with other people on it? The biggie is shareability, i.e. if this is something that you're building to deal with your kind of external QA or send to examiners, it needs to be able to be made public, and so that is something that needs to be shared. Can it be shared, as it were, as a public link, which might not be on search engines, but is it very secure information which you'll have to send just to one person? I guess we can say, how professional does it need to look? If you're a graphic designer building a portfolio, we want it to be quite a professional looking thing, and also the ease of use for the students, because obviously some of these tools are quite complex depending on how you get into them. So the biggie that I know at Scarborough Tech, we use this a lot for portfolio building, is Class Notebook. And I think you've quite possibly come across Class Notebook. It's one of the Office 365 tools, and which you access it via OneNote. It is part of the OneNote tool. And what it is a free-form note-taking space. And it has excellent collaboration and sharing potential within it. So the Class Notebook version of it is set up exactly for creating a portfolio within your class. Difficulty, I'd say it's simple to set up and manage. It's a bit of a concept. If you've never used it before, it will be like nothing you've come across before online. It seems different to everything else. However, it is very easy to use and simple to set up, and it's incredibly easy for students to use as well. And it's one of the tools that I work quite a lot with the primary schools on this project, and it is one of the tools that the primary schools have found really easy for their younger students to use, because it does push the information to the student very well. So the pros of it, it's simple, it's effective, you can embed it into Teams and, you know, merge it with Teams assignments to try and control the flow of information that arrive on it. You don't have to use it within Teams. The cons are that it's often difficult to share externally. I know that here at the Tech Partnership, we don't have permission to share Class Notebook externally. So after we've built our portfolios, we have to in some way manage to share them, which usually involves downloading them as PDFs and sending them, you know, from a OneDrive or something like that. In your organisation, that might be a different scenario. You might be allowed to share from Class Notebook. So that is quite a big consideration that you might want to look into before you start using it. I will say that at Scarborough Tech, we have decided that the pros of using Class Notebook for portfolio building, particularly, as I said, on our health and social care courses, is so positive that we just deal with the sharing thing at the end of the year rather than not use it at all. So I'll just show you a really quick example of what Class Notebook looks like. It is obviously in the OneNote app. When you create a Class Notebook, you can either create it via Teams and attach it to a Teams and use the same permissions that you use in the team, or you can use it separately. If anybody is using a VLE, we use Canvas here. You may well be able to, we can connect it to Canvas as well, so you may be able to connect it to your VLE instead of Teams, if that would work for you, you know, and use the permissions to students via that. When you get a Class Notebook, it will have a welcome area which is just for the teacher to put some welcoming message in. I haven't really done anything there. A collaboration area. The collaboration area is editable and readable by both teachers and all students. So it is really a collaboration space. You can add as many sections as you want and as many pages as you want. And each page is as wide and as long as you can make it, kind of thing. So that becomes the collaboration space, add extra pages in. The content library is just for the teachers, so you could keep information you want to put on, teaching resources, and you want the students to read but not edit. There is a teacher only area, which is really only teachers can see. You can use that for trackers and things like that. And then within each student, of which I've got 2 here, will be listed here from the teacher's point of view, and within there only the teacher and that individual student can see what's happening in those sections, and the teacher can see it and the student can see it. I'll see if any of these have got anything in them. I did have a page somewhere. I'll try and find it for you. Nope, must be under welcome. So, May the 24th, cutting claws. This was one that I set up to demonstrate animal care. So try and relate this to your own topic. I know it's sport and what have you. So on this you can embed videos and say, so as a teacher I could set this up and say, watch this video, here's a diagram, please can you give me some information about it, and actually write the questions there straight on the sheet and say, how would you calm an animal to cut, typo there, cut its nails, and things like that. And also you could ask them to draw on top of the diagram with the drawing tools, because as this is a free form kind of note-taking platform, you can dictate onto it. You can, on the insert menu, add images, videos. You can click to add audio files. You can draw with the drawing tools. So if I wanted them to tell me where to cut this guinea pig's toenail or whatever it is, I could just draw actually there, that's where you should cut it, something like that, and ask them to do that. So I'm sure you can see now the advantages of this, and what you can do then is distribute this page to every student, an individual student, groups of students within this, and that page will arrive in their areas and they get their own copy to work on. Obviously on your course, if this was say the sports course as we were talking about, you could put the instructions on these pages as to what information you wanted them to collate and how you wanted them to collate it, and put prompts in and then send it out, and they could fill it up. Or you could just provide them with empty sheets and offer the information of what you wanted on the empty sheets in another place. And then when you come in as the teacher, I could come into this sheet and leave my feedback here, draw on it, put arrows, write stuff out. I hope that kind of makes sense, and you can see it is a really, really powerful tool, and we do lots of other courses on this, so I'm going to leave it there. And has anybody got any questions about Class Notebook at this stage?
Oh, sorry, Rebecca. Yeah, I've got a quick question in regards to the collaboration. Does this allow several students to edit this one document at any one time? Sorry.
Yeah, it does. So it's got the permission. It's kind of, we say that on the collaboration space, any student or any teacher can write on any page within there, but it is kind of, the permissions also control access to documents that you put in there as well. So if you put like a Word document in there, it would control access to that Word document according to the permissions of the. So really, it's not. You couldn't limit it to 2 students, but you could limit it by saying this sheet is for this group of students and just write it in the title of the page. But the collaboration space, it will allow people to go in and edit any of them. If you wanted to collaborate between just 2 students, I think you would have to set it up some other way. What you could do is set them up a separate OneNote, which is, you can on a standard OneNote that's not a class notebook, you can still share those between people. So if I set up a OneNote and shared it with you, we would be the only 2 people who could access it. So that would be one way of doing that.
Okay. And just one last question. Sorry, as in like a teacher's view, maybe would it be visible to me who has edited what? So if it was a group task and there was, I don't know, 3-4 students working on it, would I be able to indicate who's actually added to the document?
No, it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't really. No, it doesn't. Sorry, it doesn't really work like that. In that it is in the collaboration space. Everybody can work in there on any of the pages that are in that document. So I think for what you're wanting, which is like making groups, this setup wouldn't work that well for that. You would have to set up separate OneNotes for the 2 or 3 students working together and get them to add you into it, and then you would have to check them. One of the issues that I find with OneNote and Class Notebook is that it's quite difficult to know when people have added content unless they let you know. It works really well if it's connected into Teams and turned into Teams assignments. They obviously tell you by submitting the assignment. If you distribute the pages, so with this page here, if I decided to distribute it using the distribute page option, it will then offer me, oh, you could do it this way actually. If you set up the pages, you could distribute different pages to different people, maybe that might help you. Distribute page, then it will give me an indication when I go back and check as to who's edited a distributed page. If they're just working free form within the Class Notebook, there isn't really any indication to the teacher that someone has added content. What we tend to use, there are apps for this, and I know that the 2016 version of the app will make it will make the names bold when there's been activity in that area. So there are little ways around it, but it's just one of the drawbacks. Using the apps does help you with the management of who's edited stuff, but you will probably find that it will, because you've distributed the pages, you will be able to know who's been on the page in that way.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, so moving back. So that was Class Notebook, which is, great for that kind of portfolio. I'm not going to demonstrate Wix. Wix is one of the things that we picked up on, which is great for building portfolios that you want to be kind of external and usable by students after the end of their course. So we're talking here about computer design, the computer design courses and graphic design and art, and the things that are maybe a bit more visual, where they might want to build a portfolio, as in use it to then move on to the next stage of their career. And Wix is a template-based website building kind of online tool, and it is free to use, but you can also pay for it and kind of escalate it into like a proper website. It is a proper website, but you can get a proper domain name and things like that attached to it. WordPress is exactly the same, but possibly one that you've heard of. It just works off a different template-based system. We don't have anybody in the call who deals particularly with art, but art is Art Steps is really interesting in that it's a VR online gallery where you can actually make a gallery of student work that you can go in and navigate round, but again, very much for visual artists, I would say. Canva, again, bit visual. I have got loads of these, don't worry. Sway. Sway is, I'll just tell you what Canva is. It creates kind of like online sites, but as opposed to them being a website, they are very kind of linear in that you can create like a little website, but it's a linear thing that paces you through in a kind of storytelling way. So a bit more like a presentation than a navigable website, which is exactly as well what Sway is, and Sway is a lot easier to use. So let's have a look at Sway. So Sway is also part of the Office 365 apps, and it is an online storytelling tool, i.e. it's got a linear timeline. It's interesting because the design is applied after the story is developed, i.e. you add your content in and then you can put a template over the top of it to make it look nicer. It's really, really easy to use for students, so don't think it is just for students who work, who are looking to create, working visual arts or something like that. It is used by everybody. It's much easier, I feel, than PowerPoint. So if you ever need people to create a presentation of, their work, it's great for that. It does build a bit like a website in that you build your content first and then you put your design on top, and I think that's what makes it simple to use, because you're not concerned with how it's looking as you're building it, you're just concerned with content. And the really great thing about a Sway is that it's totally shareable to anybody who's got the internet. So, and the sharing, you can share it with one person in your organisation by their email address, or to anybody really by their email address, and they were the only people. They will need a Office 365 account, and then they will be able to log in. So if, for example, you had an external examiner who was running Office 365 and had an email address, if you shared to that person, they would be the only person who could see this. You can also share it publicly and share the link to anybody. So it would be great for if you worked in a school and had to make school newsletters and want to share it with the parents, you could just make it public. The cons are there's not an awful lot of control over layout, but it does always look quite professional. My example again is art-based, so I apologise, but we'll just kind of this that I'm working through at the moment is a Sway, and I'll put that in the chat in a minute. And this is another Sway that I've made too. So I was using it in presentation mode before, and this I've just built a little art gallery where you can see how it doesn't add anything else into it other than the images. If I go to show you how to edit that, you can see that it's just built like linear. So you can put in text, you can put in videos, you can embed forms. So it would work for any topic. It doesn't have to be about art. You know, if you were using this for your presentation of your sports, you know, this could be blocks of text, it could be Word files, it could be forms that they filled in and scanned. You know, you could put anything in this list of things, which would then all get compiled together into this little website presentation, which is then shareable to anybody. So it's quite useful for that, and they can be quite complex. You can also, if you have a PDF of your stuff, you can convert that into a Sway as well, and it will actually break down the PDF and add it into the slides to turn it into slides. And to add something new, and you just click in the add button. Is it a heading? Is it text? Is it an image? Is it media? i.e. it's going to be a video or an audio file or something embedded. Let's say you want to add a bit of text in, and then you can just type. And when you click off, it will add that into the stream, and you can see here it is. This is in text, and it will just how it looks is under the design tab here, and you can look under styles, and there's loads and loads of preset styles, so you don't really have to edit much at all. I nearly always use this one, and you can also decide if it is vertical or in slides or a horizontal scroll bar. So when I play it now, I've made a couple of changes, and you'll see it's totally changed the way it looks just at the click of a button. So obviously if these items in it were more to do with your subject matter, that's Sway. I think Sway's great. It's so easy when you get the hang of it. It's so easy to use compared to PowerPoint, especially for things like this. I know PowerPoint, if you've got a lot of information, a lot of bullet points, it's fantastic, and it has loads of other advantages to do with accessibility and being able to put captions on and being able to have it in present mode and everything like that. But if you're just creating something that you want people to access on their own, that you're not actually presenting, you want them to experience it by themselves, then Sway is a great option. Right. The next one is one that you might find useful, and is Wakelet. I don't know if anyone's used Wakelet or Padlet. And Wakelet is it's a Microsoft tool now. They've kind of got it into their collection, and it works quite similarly to Padlet, which has been quite popular in education for a long time. The major advantage of Wakelet over Padlet is that Padlet charges and Wakelet doesn't. So that's why lots of people use it. Padlet starts charging after you've made 3 collections. It's really easy to use Wakelet. Anybody can get into it. And what it is designed to do is just to collect online resources. It collates online resources. So essentially it's like making a list of bookmarked links with added text and other stuff in it, and then you can share it with everybody you want to share it with. It's really easy to use. From the student's perspective, especially if you're working with younger students, or students you don't want to have control of their Wakelet, a teacher can create a Wakelet and then share it with a student or a group of students for them to edit, and they don't even need to use a login for it. Obviously, it's fine to let them make their own login, and I know that some of the courses here who need to send information externally for marking have used Wakelet quite successfully by getting the students to make their own login and make their own login with Wakelet, and then share the address with the tutor, who then passes it on. The concept's not really a presentation, it is a collection, so if you're using it as a presentation it can feel a little bit clunky, but I know that when I used to teach, I nearly always taught directly from Wakelet because I used lots of online resources. So if you have a look at this one here, which is a mock-up from a music course. So this music student has been researching new wave music, added some text in, added lots of links to stuff, definitions from an online dictionary, obviously links to videos on YouTube, and it's really, in this style, it looks a bit like a mood board, pin board. If I go on to edit this, so you just click on the edit button, and it does offer me options of layouts, quite a lot of content in this that's processing. And you can have media view, which is one underneath each other. I was on mood board view. There's grid view, which is a bit more laid out. So I'm going to switch to media view and let you see it like that, which might be, it's a bit more linear stream that way. So it would go in a specific order. If I wanted to add something in, I could just paste in a web address for a link, add in text using a text box. That in, and it just pops it straight in the stream. Then click again on the place where you want it to land. You can put images in, you can bookmark things, upload PDFs, which is quite handy. So if you had students who've got lots of work as Word documents, they could convert them to PDFs and upload them here for other people to access them. And there's also access to apps with this, so you could connect into Twitter feeds. I can't really see why you'd want to do that. You might want to do that, I guess, if your students had a Twitter feed. You can add a video. So what this does is links you straight into the Flipgrid video facilities. So you don't really know you're using Flipgrid. What it will do is allow you to record a video. Click on this button, start talking to the camera, and it will record a video of you talking. So that's quite handy for students to use. The YouTube, link to your Google Drive or link to something on your OneDrive. So they could store their documents on their OneDrive and make them public, and then link to them on a Wakelet and share them in that way. And then obviously when you've done all that and built it, it is quite easy to build. You can share it using the share, and it will give you the URL, or you can get the embed code if you want to embed it into something else, or you can export it as a PDF. So that's the code, or you can invite, and what this does is invites contributors. So you can send just a link out to anybody you want to be able to participate in this, or you can manage them as well by, once you've actually invited people and they're on it, you can say, I don't want you to be able to contribute anymore. So obviously this is great for collaboration. So if you have 2 or 3 students working together on one project, they could share a Wakelet and, you know, not let anybody else in to edit it. And you can manage this as well by the link code, or you can manage it by the email. So you could just add the people that you wanted in this Wakelet in via email address as well. Sorry, that feels like it's been so rushed to run through all those. I think that's everything. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I think we'll have finished on Wakelet. So I think if you're new to portfolio, just to recap, if you're new to portfolio building online, and you're not working in the arts, the ones that are going to be really useful to you are Wakelet, because that collates stuff together and makes it available online. So if you were ever doing anything and you know, someone said, I can't access that, I need it sharing publicly, Wakelet would be the first place to go. You can attach documents to it, and it has great sharing, you know, permissions within the control panel. Sway is really useful if you want to create a slightly nicer looking presentation of whatever work it is that you've created. So that will build a linear website which you can share with anyone. And then obviously for portfolio building, with a portfolio that might last, you know, you work on it for the whole academic year, set it up at the start, the teachers in and out of it, the students are in and out of it, and you're pacing the work, then Class Notebook is the one for you. I'll just come back to the call and take any questions. I hope you found that useful. It was a lot to take in. Has anybody got any questions at this point?
No, Rebecca, that was really informative. Thank you.
If anybody would like me, if anybody's interested in any of these tools and you would like me to find you videos, any more information on them, or I can offer you any help, if you can just ping me in the chat, and I'm very happy to do that. That's what I'm here for. So, and obviously any of these tools, talking from the perspective of the EdTech demo project, can be used for your silver or your gold as one of the tools that you can evaluate if you do decide to use one of them. So do bear that in mind. Okay then, thanks very much. See you later.
Rebecca.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.